Hello, my name is Tony Glasgow, and I'll be your host. And today I'm talking with Derek Lokey. First of all, I'd like to mention our sponsor, which is Clutch Designs. And the challenge is still on. If you can find something that Branden can't do, I will pay for that. But Branden can do pretty much anything from jerseys, team jerseys, to hoodies, to t-shirts. Pretty much anything that you can wear, he can get set up for you. So just give him a call. His information will be in the link below. But right now, I've got Derek Lokey on the phone. How you doing today, Derek?
Good, Tony. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for being on. I really appreciate this. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little brief background of where you started and where you ended up, and what you did in your college, your career.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. So I, first and foremost, I'm a coach's kid. I know probably some of your listeners that have had that experience. My dad was a high school football coach in Texas for over 30 years. And
I didn't know
I
that.
I grew up on the sidelines as a ball boy and went to, two-a-day practices my whole life and just got to see the passion that my dad had for football and for growing young men. And so if you have that experience, all you can think about and dream about is being a varsity football player growing up. And then my dad also played college football, which led me early on to have a passion to go get free college. Honestly, I love the game, but I also love the opportunity, to get your college paid for. And these kids now with these NIL deals kind of blows my mind. But for me, it was how can I work hard in high school and get a free education? So that was kind of an early motivating factor for me. And my first 2 years of high school, we were at a small school, it used to be a small town called Princeton, east of McKinney. I think it's a 6A town now. It's 3A when we were there. But my dad was the head coach there for 2 years when I was a freshman and sophomore, played varsity there. I had some talent that my dad recognized in me. He was ready to try something different, and he was offered a position at Denton Ryan. And they had several recruits. They had Jarvis Moss, the number one of them won defensive ends in the country at the time. And so we knew if I got there and played next to Jarvis, I would have a phenomenal opportunity to be recruited. At that point, it was up to me. There were no excuses. You play next to the best defensive end of the country, you make some plays, colleges are going to see you. So we were able to go to Denton Ryan, won state my junior year, and lost in the state finals in triple overtime to Lamarck. Not that I'm still sore about it my senior year. So that was the high school experience.
Yeah. Okay. So from that senior year, so I have a few stats here. So you had 107 tackles, 17 sacks, and 52 tackles for a loss as a senior. So that was the year that was the triple overtime loss. But the state championship year, that was your junior year. How did that must have been electric year for everyone, just kind of around that field house and around the coaches and everything, around your dad, just having that feeling. What was that like?
Oh, phenomenal. There were so many points during that season that, like any championship run requires, you've got to get lucky at times. You've got to show extreme resilience at times, and you've got to show hard work in addition to the just baseline level of talent it requires to do something that special. But yeah, that junior year was amazing. Ryan had won it the year before. My sophomore year, I wasn't there, but they had won it, so they were fighting for back-to-back, and just a great team there with so many great names that people that have been in Denton for a while or the area will recognize. But James Battle and others, but just Earl Goldsmith, Ishi Adewegu, who played with me at Texas, just some really cool players and a great opportunity. And then February of that year, my junior year, I got a call from Mac Brown at Texas, and he was the first coach to recruit me and give me an offer, and that made the process pretty easy. I wanted to go there. I wanted to go there my whole life as a coach's kid. One thing we looked forward to every spring was going to the state track meet in Austin and getting on campus. And, so having done that my whole life, it was an easy decision for me. And it's back then recruiting was funny, right? Coach Brown calls and offers you a scholarship. I went down on a visit, said yes. Somebody from, Rivals or one of the websites calls you and you confirm. And then the next day I had offers from every school in the country in my mailbox. It was just kind of a weird experience. But after you say yes, everybody wants to just throw an offer out just in case. But yeah, that was the extent of my recruiting process. I knew where I wanted to go, and thankfully they wanted me too.
Well, that totally has changed now. I mean, you touched on it a little bit with the offers and the NIL deals, and so it's completely different. So it's, what do you think of that process now? Is it something that you kind of encourage? I know you may be going through that a little bit later on, a few years as yourself with the younger one you have. So what do you think of that?
I'll tell you what, I've got 3 younger ones, and regardless of what I think about the current system, I just hope it lasts until my boys get through it. I really do. I do think, when I look back at guys like Vince Young that I played with at Texas, and Colt McCoy is a dear friend of mine. If I look back on the market, and a roommate, and if I look back on the marketing impact that they had and the money that was generated and the capital that was generated for the university, and those are just 2 guys. There are so many more, but those 2, if you remember back at 2005, 2006, and then Colt getting runner-up for the Heisman twice, I think. Yeah. What they did for the university, and for Colt to be my roommate, and we're living in a tiny 5-bedroom house and splitting bills and rent, in East Austin, and if I look back on that, it doesn't seem like the fairest scenario. So I don't know what the solution is, but there's a marketing and economic impact greater than the scholarship. Scholarships are great, but I'm glad that there's something being done to try to get to fairness and equity, but it's a complicated scenario. I'm not sure we've got it right, but I want my kids to get through the way it is now. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not quite right. I've heard a lot of stories about some shiesty people offering some kids some things, and they don't know much, and they're looking at a dollar amount, and so they can be taken advantage of. I think some of that's gotten cleaned up, but it's still, like you said, still a process, and it's still a little bit wide open.
The transfer portal is another, that whole thing is left over from COVID. They opened it there because some conferences wanted to play and some didn't, which I think makes sense. But when you mix the ability to compensate athletes and you give them the ability to trade schools without penalty, I think the combination of those 2 things is very problematic, but it'll shake itself out.
Right. All right. Well, you alluded a little bit to some of the guys that you played with while you were at Texas. So over your 4 years while you were there, you played in 43 games with 21 starts at defensive tackle. You recorded 101 tackles, 50 solo, 3 sacks for negative 23 yards, 18 tackles for negative 52 yards, 29 quarterback pressures, 3 passes defended, and 1 fumble recovery. And you were also the short yardage fullback. So that is an extensive career. You found your way on the field for all 4 years. And to top that off, you got a national championship out of there. How was that?
All right. You've been listening to the interview with Derek Lokey, former Denton Ryan Raider, Texas Longhorn, and Kansas City Chief. We have part 2 coming up. I would like to ask you to also check with Clutch Designs. See if they can get you fitted, something that you need for your sports team, for yourself, just anything that you may need, he can do it for you. So part 2 is coming up right now. Appreciate it. You have a good day.